Have you ever wanted to start all over again? I'm sure we've all had moments that we wish we could go back to. Moments we wish were different, but we can't because the past is in the past and that won't change. But maybe it doesn't need to. While we always wish we could undo the past, it's not as simple as that. Going back to fix the mistakes you've made just doesn't work. But does that mean that nobody gets a second chance? A second chance is offered to all, but whether we take it or not, well, that's up to us. In this story, we're going to view a world where Naruto, knowing everything he knows now, gets to restart from the beginning. So please, grab a seat, grab some popcorn, and relax. We're gonna view another dream world where Naruto got to restart with all of his memories. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of this video, please like and double check if you are subscribed. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Naruto and Hinata both floated through the dimension known as Daikokuten. In this realm, it seemed that time didn't pass. Nothing here aged or got worse for wear, and that included Naruto and Hinata. Not to say it didn't feel like a long time. Both were unconscious and left with only their thoughts after their imprisonment. As Naruto floated, he began to feel like it might be the end. And in a fashion as many people do, he went over his life up until that point, reviewing it, all its ups and downs, everything that was happy and everything that was sad. Among all of these, however, remained a question. Knowing everything he knew now, if he were to go back in time to the start of his journey, what would he do differently? Now, with a new muse to spend most of his time engaging with, Naruto's mind began to follow the thread deeper into his unconscious state, and began to dream. His eyes opened. He gasped as if he had been underwater for quite some time. As he looked around, he realized where he was. He was on Hokage Rock, suspended by a rope. "Why am I using a rope? Why don't I just walk over its surface?" he questioned. He then heard a voice. "Hey, what do you think you're doing, you little rat?" Naruto looked down to see a mob of angry villagers. He then noticed that he himself was holding a paint bucket. What? He then looked over and realized that he had just defaced the Hokage monument again. His eyes widened in shock. "Why would I do this?" He then began to lower down again. As he did, however, he saw Shinobi running across the face of the monument in his direction. In terror, Naruto jumped from the rope he was attached to and attempted to wall run. At first, he slipped a little, but he managed to get a grip on the wall before him and began to run. As he ran, he shouted back behind him, "I'm sorry, I don't know what happened." All the same, they called out to him, "Get back here, you little urchin." Naruto attempted to run. He hit the ground and rushed past the angry mob. "This is just like back when I was a kid." That was when he noticed his stature. "Wait, I am a kid. What's going on here?" Suddenly, he would smash into Iruka and get knocked back. Naruto looked up at the man with confusion. Iruka was about to blow, so Naruto threw his defenses up. Suddenly, Iruka exploded like a volcano. "Naruto!" After this, Naruto slowly lowered his defenses, but to his surprise, Iruka was still upset. "You're gonna fix this, Naruto," he shouted at the boy. Naruto looked back at the monument and saw that it was covered in graffiti. This was just like it was back when he was a kid. Wait, this is exactly like it was when he was a kid. But how? Was this a memory? A dream? "Yes, Iruka-sensei, I'll clean up my mess. I'm sorry." Iruka's angered expression took on a softer, more confused appearance. For the rest of that day, Naruto spent his time cleaning off the monument. Considering that there were only 4 faces right now instead of 7, he knew that this meant that he had somehow returned to the past. I wonder what all would have happened if I had chosen differently, he began to think. He had yet to realize that this idea was one he had brought with him from the real world into this world of dreams. He decided to run with it as it happened. As a reward for his hard work, Iruka took Naruto out to Ichiraku Ramen. There, Naruto got his favorite meal and nearly swallowed it whole. "You're hungry today," Iruka said with a bit of a smile. Naruto nodded. "Just got done working hard." He looked at Iruka. "Hey, can I try on your headband?" Iruka shook his head. "No, this is something you gotta earn. But don't worry, you'll get your chance. For now, would you settle for another bowl of ramen?" Naruto smiled. "Bring it on." Immediately thereafter, Naruto was transported further into his dream. He was taken to a point where he was getting ready for his test to become a genin, but he messed it up. He looked back and saw the sad excuse for a clone. Naruto almost wanted to cry, but he didn't, not in front of the whole class. He ran out of the room. He was embarrassed, but as he thought about it, he remembered that this had happened in the past as well. He wondered what else might happen. As he sat around though, he was approached by Mizuki. Naruto immediately recognized him. Mizuki began to talk with him, telling him about how it wasn't Naruto's fault that he had failed, but because of the way everyone treated him, and that it really had to do with the fear at his superior being. He then began to hint around at an easy way to power. Naruto knew what this was about. He played along though to make sure that his suspicions were still correct. Mizuki then told him of a secret scroll that, when uncovered, could grant power even beyond that of the Hokage. Mizuki had planted the knowledge in Naruto's brain, intending for him to try and take it so that Mizuki could steal it back and use it to bargain with Orochimaru. And so, as soon as Mizuki left, Naruto would find Iruka and tell him about the strange encounter he had with Mizuki. Iruka would, at first, be fairly surprised at Mizuki and the concept. A part of him lashed out at Naruto for trying to besmirch Mizuki's good name. But then again, he had heard rumors of things Mizuki had done on mission, such as mercilessly killing his teammates. Of course, that was conjecture, and nobody could prove it per se. They had the body of the teammate, but never once had they been able to find beyond a shadow of a doubt that Mizuki was the one responsible for his death. Either way, Iruka kept the information close to him, and given that Naruto didn't go after the scroll but instead practiced the ninjutsu he wanted to learn, Mizuki had no choice but to try and take it himself. Because Naruto had told Iruka, Iruka knew and told Hiruzen, who would send out a search party after Mizuki to capture him and stop him from taking the scroll to Orochimaru. After that, Mizuki was captured, and Naruto would be commended for informing them of Mizuki's treason. Naruto would then try again, and because he remembered how to do the multi-shadow clone jutsu, he immediately passed and became a genin. Iruka congratulated him on a job well done and would take him out once again to Ichiraku Ramen for something to eat to celebrate. After this, Naruto would return to his home and contemplate what would happen next. He knew that now he was a genin, he'd be assigned to a team. Then remembered he'd be assigned to Team 7 under Kakashi Hatake, as well as be placed on the same team as Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha. Naruto originally hadn't wanted anything to do with Sasuke, but now all he could do was recall fond memories. Naruto was excited to be back on the same team as Sakura and Sasuke again. And so, as the day came that he should meet his team, he would walk into the room and be greeted by Sakura and Sasuke. Well, greeted is a bit of a stretch. Sasuke didn't care, and Sakura was too preoccupied with Sasuke to care, but he was just glad to be on the same team as them now. Naruto sat patiently and waited for Kakashi to show up. As the door opened, Kakashi stepped in and introduced himself as their Jonin. I am Kakashi Hatake, and I'm your Jonin and commanding officer. If you listen to what I tell you, you might get to come home in one piece. Now, come on, let's get out of this stuffy room and into the sun. They followed Kakashi out of the room and outside. Kakashi took a deep breath of the fresh air and let out a sigh. Ah, that's more like it. He leaned up against the rail. So, tell me about yourselves. Naruto got to start, and most everything he said remained the same. Sakura said the same as she had said before, as did Sasuke. But as Sasuke said what he said, Naruto remembered what would become of him, and he began to feel a bit more sorrowful. Kakashi noticed this and commented, "Yeah, his dream seems like a real downer, doesn't it?" Sasuke scoffed. "I don't recall asking any of you to care." Kakashi pointed at him. "You were right about that, my good sir. Your business is yours. I couldn't care less either way." Kakashi stretched. "Now, I think we need to move on. Before I officially take you on as my students, I want to test you out." So he led them into the forest where Naruto realized what was going on. Kakashi turned around and displayed 2 bells. "Your objective is to take these from me by any means necessary. Failure to do so will see you return to the academy. Whoever doesn't get a bell by the end of the time limit will be sent home and will have their geninship revoked. Back to school, in other words. Do you understand?" Naruto nodded. "Good, then let's begin." As the team prepared to run off after Kakashi, Naruto caught Sakura and Sasuke by the collars. This nearly led to Sasuke decking him, but Naruto didn't flinch. "We can't just rush at him. We gotta plan this out and work as a single unit. Teamwork is the meaning of the test, so we gotta work as a team." And so they began to put together a plan. As Kakashi waited for them, he was impressed to see them talking to each other and conveying plans. It seemed that they were already utilizing the lesson he was trying to teach them. Time to test out if their plan is good enough. He raced off into the forest. They weren't far behind. As they ran, he led them through the forest into an opening. Here he stopped. This is where they would spring their trap. Naruto pointed to a small lake. "Sakura, see that lake there? Go in it. Use the hollow reeds to keep breathing while you're underwater. There you'll wait. As you wait, me and Sasuke will attack Kakashi and push him closer to the lake. Then you just gotta reach your hand out and grab the bells." Sakura's face turned up into a sort of snarl. "Why do I have to be the one who goes underwater?" she asked. "Because I know how to use multi-shadow clone jutsu and because Sasuke has the Sharingan." How do you know I have the Sharingan? Sasuke asked. Naruto looked over. He wasn't sure how to respond. You're an Uchiha, right? Don't the Uchiha have the Sharingan? Not all of them, Sasuke said. There was some awkward silence that passed by for the span of 5 seconds before Naruto asked, "Do you have the Sharingan?" Sasuke nodded. Well, then that settles it, Naruto said. With his eyes and with my clones, we can start pushing Kakashi back toward you. Once he's within your range, just reach up. Fine, Sakura said. She didn't seem too pleased with the plan, but she couldn't deny that it made sense. And so, as Kakashi wasn't paying attention, she slipped under the water and began to make her way to the other side of the lake, closest to Kakashi. There she waited as Naruto and Sasuke appeared before him. We'll have those bells, he said. Sasuke, to make sure that nothing seemed out of place, summoned a clone of his own, which he then proceeded to make look like Sakura. Sasuke's Sharingan awakened as Naruto summoned his multi-shadow clones. Together they all rushed toward Kakashi, striking at him. Kakashi was pushed back toward the lake, slowly but surely. Once he was there, Sakura reached up, grabbed the bells, and pulled on them hard enough to get him. Once she had them, she came out of the water jumping and screaming happily. I did it! I did it! I got the bells! I got them! Naruto also celebrated while Sasuke sort of just stood there with a smug look on his face. Kakashi couldn't help but smile, but his test wasn't completely over. Congratulations, gang. But don't forget what I said. Anyone who doesn't have a bell by the end of the time loses and will be sent back to the academy. Sakura quickly counted the bells. But there's only 2 here. There are 3 of us. How do we decide who gets the bells and who doesn't? Sasuke thought about it. We could play evens and odds. Naruto shook his head. No, I volunteer to go back. Sasuke and Sakura looked at him. You don't have to do that, Naruto. I'll go back, Sakura said. Sasuke thought about it. To be honest, my shinobi career isn't that important to me, so I'm just as fine going back to the village alone. Kakashi smiled and waved his hands. It's fine, gang. That was a test too. You can stay my genin. Team 7 let out a collective sigh. Kakashi then welcomed them all on the team, reminding them that while a shinobi who doesn't follow the rules may be trash indeed, a shinobi who leaves behind even one of his friends is worse than trash. And from there, the team goes on about their daily duties, which is no more than some training and chores around the village. This, of course, is boring to Naruto, but Naruto knows that there's a mission just around the corner, and that the next time they meet with Hiruzen, Naruto is sure to try and convince the elderly man to give them a job worth having. Hiruzen responds by giving them the Land of Waves mission, just as he had hoped, and so they get to prepare for it. They're all sent home, and Naruto packs only the bare essentials. He then proceeds to enter his own subconscious to try and communicate with the Ninetales. He manages to reach it. He sees it glaring at him from within the cage. As hostile as ever, huh? Despite the Ninetales' attitude, Naruto manages to get a handle on his version 1 cloak earlier on because he knows what he's doing. As the next day comes, Naruto meets back up with his team, and they all begin to make their way to the Land of Waves. As they do so, Naruto knows when every attack is coming. So when they see a pool of water in the middle of the road, Naruto knows that the demon brothers aren't far away. He gets ready for them by pulling a kunai from his holster. As the 2 shinobi appear from the puddle, Naruto flings his kunai at a tree and pins the chain that the demon brothers plan to use as a means of cooperative attack. Instead, Naruto activates his version 1 cloak and proceeds to knock them both out rather easily. Team 7 and Tazuna are both astounded by the way that Naruto handled that, all while Naruto insists that they should continue on before it gets too dark. As they move on, they find Zabuza. Kakashi, however, gets caught in a water prison, and Naruto decides that all he needs to do is overpower his opponent. After all, Zabuza can't move while he's utilizing the water prison technique. So Naruto activates his version 1 chakra cloak and summons multiple shadow clones, which would team up with him to force Zabuza back. It would succeed, as so many Jinchuriki coming at you in swarms would be very hard to defend against without moving. After Zabuza is pushed back, he's almost immediately intercepted by Haku. Kakashi tells them to let the Hunter Nin do his duty, though Naruto knows it isn't a Hunter Nin. As the Hunter Nin leaves, Naruto speaks up. Kakashi-sensei, I don't think that was a real Hunter Nin. Kakashi looks down. You don't? Naruto shook his head. He didn't dispose of the body. Instead, he took it with him. Don't you find that peculiar? Kakashi nods. At that moment, Kakashi seems to keel over from chakra loss. He has Naruto and Sasuke train together during this time to perfect their surface running techniques and chakra control. Naruto, at this time, doesn't seem to have any issues with his control, though he kind of fakes it because he knows that soon Haku will be here, and maybe he can talk to him. And so, Naruto feigns training so hard that he falls asleep in the flowers. Not long after, he wakes up and sees Haku there. Hi, he says. I'm Naruto. The boy smiles. Hi, Naruto. I'm Haku. Haku, can I be honest with you? Haku was a little weirded out by this. Okay? Naruto then speaks. I know you're the masked guy who took Zabuza today. Haku's face almost displays terror, but then he controls himself. I think you might have me mixed up with someone else. Naruto shakes his head. No, I know I'm right. You see, you and Zabuza are close. This is because after you were treated very badly for having a Kekai Genkai, you were alone. Zabuza took you in to use as a tool, but deep down you're more than a tool to him. You're almost like a son, even if he doesn't admit it. Haku's face displayed terror at how Naruto could possibly know this. Haku pulls out Senbon to kill Naruto with, but Naruto catches his wrist and forces him to drop them. Listen, I know you two are getting paid by Gato to stop the bridge from being built, but you both need to know that if you go to the bridge and try to kill the workers, you're gonna die. So please, for the love of mercy, don't go to the bridge. Haku pulls back and looks at Naruto for a moment and then turns around and rushes off. Naruto sits there and hopes that Haku takes his advice. As the time comes that they go to the bridge, Naruto is a bit nervous. After all, he remembers what will happen if they show up, but as the day passes, neither Zabuza nor Haku appear. Instead, Gato comes alone with his little group of mercenaries. They come to threaten, but Kakashi is there with them. He utilizes the multi-shadow clone jutsu, as does Naruto, and with their miniature army, as well as a little help from the locals, they manage to push back Gato and his goons. The bridge is completed. Kakashi explains to Team 7 that now that the bridge is finished, Gato's crime syndicate in the Land of Waves is practically over. The people will be able to buy and sell according to their needs, which will rejuvenate their economy and allow them to be able to pay for more protection to rid themselves of the crime lord. Bidding goodbye to the Land of Waves, they begin to make their way back to the village again. There, they are debriefed on the situation. Kakashi informs Hiruzen that his students managed to handle a Chunin level mission without much issue. Because of that, Hiruzen decides to allow them to partake in the upcoming Chunin exams. Naruto already knows this, however, and he begins to search out the very important players who will appear. He finds Gaara and his siblings, and later finds Rock Lee as well, but he has a harder time finding Orochimaru. Since he can't get a bead on Orochimaru, he decides to practice more of his techniques in this form so he can be ready for him. He knows of at least one place where he can defeat him. He merely needs to do so. Naruto begins to foster his strength, increasing in power. Since he can't rely upon Kurama at this juncture, Naruto begins to sort of teach himself to once again achieve Sage Mode. Since Sage Mode is superior to the version 1 cloak, and is more comparable to the version 2 cloak, he knows that with it he might be able to get close to Orochimaru's level of strength by simply using it. While at it, he recalls how to make a Rasengan. This training before the Chunin exams helps Naruto knock the rust off his powers. While doing so, he begins to foster his relationship with Kurama as well, knowing that in the future he'll likely need it. Not that he expects it to happen anytime soon though. For now, he focuses on Sage Mode. After Kakashi gives them the go-ahead, they all sign up for the Chunin exams. For Naruto, it is paramount that they defeat Orochimaru now, because if they can't, Sasuke will leave the village, and Naruto knows that there's a possibility that he can stop that. So, as the Chunin exams begin, Naruto recalls how the written test went. Naruto looks over every question and finds out that a good few of them he can actually answer. He attributes this to his position as Hokage, but in the end, the only question that really matters is the final one. And so, when that's asked, Naruto accepts it, and in doing so he passes, just as he hoped he would. This was all easy peasy to him, but the next part of the test is what is most important here. Here, Naruto knows Orochimaru will make his play on them, and so Naruto goes along with the way things went last time, except he's sure to use the bathroom before they enter the Forest of Death. This way, he doesn't get separated from his team. He manages to stay close to them the whole time, and not long after, they get attacked by Orochimaru, who utilizes his killing intent. Sasuke is paralyzed and Sakura almost seems to pass out. Naruto can feel the gaze on him, but his determination pushes him through. Taking a deep breath, he activates Sage Mode and rushes Orochimaru. Orochimaru is surprised to see someone so young having already mastered Sage Mode, a technique even he couldn't achieve. Naruto forms a Rasengan and smashes it into Orochimaru's chest, sending him flying back into a tree. Sasuke and Sakura are both astounded by what they see. Orochimaru manages to get up on his feet, but before he can do much, Naruto is on him again. Naruto keeps up the pressure to ensure that Orochimaru doesn't get away. Orochimaru is just getting pummeled at this point. He hadn't expected a bunch of children to be able to put up a fight like this. He would suddenly get serious. He would reach out and catch Naruto's hand and would use it to knock him back. As he does so, Orochimaru sinks into a tree. Naruto then turns to run towards Sasuke, sensing something. Getting to Sasuke, he reaches out and grabs a snake before it bites his neck. He tosses the snake into the forest. Sasuke looks at him and asks him flatly, "How did you learn to do this stuff?" Naruto looks at him. An old toad taught me." Sasuke seems unimpressed by the answer, but honestly, it was the truth. Naruto had learned this from an old toad, just not in this world. Together, Team 7 manages to take the scroll that they need and make their way to the building at the center of the forest, where they're congratulated by Iruka. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura then move on to the exhibition matches. Through these matches, not much changes. Sasuke simply wins more easily because he can use ninjutsu after not being branded by Orochimaru. Naruto is naturally stronger and Sakura hasn't changed at all. And so with that, the first round of the Chunin exams ends. They're given a month off to train, and Naruto knows that he needs to foster his relationship with Jiraiya. So he searches out Jiraiya and lets Jiraiya make the observation that Naruto is the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. But unexpectedly, Jiraiya makes the observation that Naruto also seems to know everything that will happen. Naruto informs Jiraiya that he's lived through this life once before and remembers what happened. Ooh, be very careful with that, Naruto. Even if you try to change things for the better, be aware that the butterfly effect exists too. Naruto nods. I understand, Pervy Sage. There's not much training that needs to happen during this time since Naruto is already way ahead of the curve, but he does inform Jiraiya that Orochimaru is here in the village. When Jiraiya asks where, Naruto tells him that he's not sure. However, on the day of the finals, Orochimaru will be in the Hokage's viewing box, disguised as Rasa, the Kazekage. He tells Jiraiya to stick with Hiruzen, as if he doesn't, Hiruzen will die. So Jiraiya agrees. And on the day that the finals begin, Naruto has his match with Neji, and Sasuke begins his match against Gaara. Halfway through though, Sasuke accidentally, or perhaps quite purposefully, hurts Gaara, causing Gaara to have a mental breakdown. Naruto remembers what happens next. He closes his eyes so he doesn't see the Genjutsu being cast. After that, it is cast, and he hears the explosion from the Kage's box, and suddenly sees Hiruzen and Jiraiya escape, followed closely after by Orochimaru. Naruto rushes off to help Sasuke, knowing that his friend will die without his help. As Orochimaru chases after Jiraiya, the Sound Four appear to aid Orochimaru in battle by using the Four Violet Flames formation to seal them in, and keep everyone else out. It's okay, Sensei, Jiraiya says. I'm with ya. We'll defeat Orochimaru together this time. Orochimaru stands there, confident against them. You seem awfully confident for a man outnumbered 2-1, Jiraiya says. Orochimaru laughs. Outnumbered 2-1. Perhaps you should check the odds. Suddenly, two coffins rise up. From within come two people, the Edo Tensei forms of Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju. As the two Senju brothers have their personalities suppressed, Orochimaru sends them out to fight against Hiruzen and Jiraiya. Jiraiya looks to his old mentor. Call up Enma. He'll be able to even the odds a bit. Hiruzen nods and does as asked. When Enma appears, he's startled to see the first and second Hokage standing against him, but Jiraiya informs him that these are reanimated corpses and that they're no longer displaying the personalities of the two Hokage. Enma understands. Jiraiya looks to Hiruzen. Let me deal with Orochimaru. Hiruzen shakes his head. No, I trained Orochimaru. I should be the one to deal with him. Jiraiya shakes his head as well. You trained me too, Hiruzen. Let me do this for you. Hiruzen looks to Jiraiya. All of those years ago, I let Orochimaru escape when I should have killed him. All of the people he's killed since then are on my hands. I need to do this. Jiraiya couldn't stop him. The best he could do was defend him from the Edo Tensei, so that's what he did. As Hiruzen faces off against Orochimaru, however, it becomes increasingly obvious that he can't do it alone, and that he's intending to die with Orochimaru. Jiraiya chooses not to stop his master. Hiruzen utilizes the Reaper Death Seal to seal away the spirits of Hashirama and Tobirama Senju, before he attempts to do the same to Orochimaru. And though he's not strong enough to do so on his own, Jiraiya walks over and gives him some of his own chakra to give him strength. Finally, Orochimaru's soul is ripped from his body. He falls lifeless, and Hiruzen is soon to follow. Jiraiya walks to his mentor and holds his corpse one final time before letting him go. Thanks for everything, Sensei. Elsewhere, Naruto manages to defeat Gaara and begins to explain to him his own suffering, telling him that he knows what it's like. This causes Gaara to have a change of heart. Gaara is taken by his siblings back to Suna. Later, Naruto meets up with Jiraiya again, only to learn that Hiruzen is dead. Wait, what? What happened? Jiraiya then speaks. He used the Reaper Death Seal. Naruto was halfway to ripping out his own hair. And why didn't you stop him? Jiraiya tries to calm his student by placing his gentle hand upon his shoulder. Hiruzen had already made up his mind. He wanted to do it, and it wasn't my place to tell him no. What we need to do now is not focus on the fact that Hiruzen's dead, but that he defeated Orochimaru. Now we need to try and figure out who else would fit best as next Hokage. Naruto thought about it. I think I know one. Elsewhere, the Sound Four walked. During the nighttime, they had taken a hostage and were now making their way through a dimly lit forest. They made it to an old shrine bearing the Uzumaki clan symbol on it. Stepping inside, they would reach for the mask detailed by Orochimaru. Taking it, they were then ready to begin. They ripped the bag off the head of their captive to show that it was Anko Mitarashi. "You sure this'll work, Kimimaro?" Kinamaru asks. Kimimaro nods. "When I finish the release, activate her seal." The Sound 4 nod. Kimimaro stands there and looks at them one last time. He then puts on the mask, summons the Shinigami, carves open his own stomach, and falls to the ground and dies. After that, they inject Anko with something, and suddenly her curse mark begins to react. She cries out as the genetic information of Orochimaru within the seal propagates throughout the rest of her body, Orochimaru's soul and mind invading her own. And a moment later, the struggle stops. The Sound 4 stand there silently. "Is that you, Lord Orochimaru?" Slowly, the figure looks up with a smile. It had been determined that Tsunade would be the one to replace Hiruzen as Hokage, so Naruto and Jiraiya were both sent to recruit her. Naruto was pretty optimistic about the whole situation. Without Orochimaru in the way to serve as a catalyst, there was no need to fear. Sasuke would no longer have a reason to leave the village, but there were still issues to iron out if he wanted Sasuke not to turn on Konoha. He had to admit the truth. While Orochimaru had set him on this path, it was not Orochimaru that had determined that Sasuke should fall to hatred. That was Sasuke himself, based on the information that he had been presented about the death of his clan, and the involvement of Danzo Shimura, the leader of Root. Eventually, that information would come out, and that's what would set him on a collision course with Konoha. Naruto was currently wondering how to possibly stop his friend from going rogue. What could he do? As he thought these things, both he and Jiraiya were passing through a small town where they would rest for the day. But as they were preparing to rest, it became increasingly obvious that there was someone following them. Naruto knew as much. Itachi and Kisame would not long after appear on their own. At about that time, Sasuke shows up to face Itachi and is then immediately skunked by his older brother, who not only breaks his arm, but casts him under the Tsukiyomi to experience what could be any amount of time of suffering. That was what was scary about Tsukiyomi. It was such a powerful genjutsu that one could be driven mad simply by being subjected to it. One might even be killed by it. Naruto, however, tried not to fear for Sasuke, as Sasuke would not be killed by the Tsukiyomi. He knew that much. Itachi was in it to protect his brother, not to kill him in cold blood. Together, along with Might Guy, who would suddenly appear, they managed to push the two Akatsuki members back. Might Guy would take Sasuke to Konoha with him, allowing Naruto and Jiraiya to continue on their journey. As they made their way forward, they found themselves in the Tanazuka quarters. There was a large festival going on, which would make it a lot harder to find Tsunade, or so Naruto would normally say if he didn't already know where to find her. Together, the two of them located Tsunade in an old pub, having drunken herself into a stupor. Coming to her, they began to speak, telling her about Hiruzen and the village's need for a Hokage. "Why should I care about Konoha? The job of Hokage is useless." This angered Naruto, just as it had before, but he maintained a calm demeanor. As the group argued amongst themselves, it became increasingly obvious that she was not going to come back with them. Despite everything they tried, they could not convince Tsunade to come back to Konoha and be Hokage. Without her, not only would the village have to find a different fifth Hokage, but Rock Lee's injuries would never heal. Naruto began to spill his guts to her, telling her the whole truth. The truth about having seen this all happen before, about having experienced it, and about how he was trying to change things for the better, but only seemed to be making it worse at the current moment. Tsunade told him if that was so, he shouldn't have started messing with time. Naruto begged her all the more, but she refused him and returned to her life without so much as a goodbye. Naruto began to think that because they had killed Orochimaru earlier, Tsunade did not have a reason to join them. Originally, Orochimaru had gotten into a fight with Tsunade, and only after fighting alongside Naruto and Jiraiya did she decide to join. But now that Orochimaru had been killed, they didn't have an altercation with which to forge bonds over. And now, because of that, she would not return to Konoha with them. Naruto could only imagine who they would pick in her stead, as if he didn't already know. So as they returned, they delivered the news that Tsunade wasn't coming back, which caused the heads of the village to panic a little. They would, having been left with little choice, choose Danzo as the fifth Hokage. Naruto began to wonder if Kakashi and Sasuke would wake up from their Tsukiyomi Genjutsu. Without Tsunade to pull them out, would they both not be caught in it forever? Just around the time he was thinking that though, they woke up. "You're awake!" Naruto shouted, confused by this. He then remembered that Itachi wasn't truly a villain, and that he likely didn't want Kakashi and Sasuke to suffer. Finally able to get up and walk around, Sasuke grew more and more angered. angry at Naruto. He knew how strong Naruto had become, all while Sasuke himself seemed to be stagnating no matter how hard he trained. Sasuke had to prove himself, and so he challenged Naruto to a fight on the roof of the hospital. Naruto remembered this fight. Back then, he had known that he probably would have beaten Sasuke, and he knew that now, with as much skill and power as he had, he would without a doubt win if he put his mind to doing so. But for the sake of trying not to mess up as much as possible, he attempted to pretend he was struggling in the fight. Eventually, Kakashi would intervene and stop the two boys from killing each other, or so he thought, as Naruto was really never of the mind to go that far. Sasuke, however, was planning to go that far. Kakashi would scold them. "You should never use those moves with the intent to kill your teammate." He was disappointed in them and decided to separate them for a time. Naruto tried not to let it bother him, but Sasuke it bothered. As he went home to rest for the day, he would suddenly feel a presence of darkness in his room. He would lay there silently as it drew closer. Sasuke would pull a kunai from below his pillow and would point it at the man who was skulking in the darkness of his room, only to see Orochimaru standing there. "You, I thought you were killed." Orochimaru would smile. "You might have thought so, but here I am." Sasuke sat there. "What do you want? What's with your fixation on me?" Orochimaru smiled. "I am but a humble scientist. You possess such great potential, and I want to help you squeeze out every ounce." Sasuke was skeptical. "No, there's gotta be more than that. What is it?" Orochimaru smiled a little brighter. "Not long ago, Itachi took something from me. I seek revenge on him like you do." "And what did he take from you?" Sasuke asked. Orochimaru's smile turned into a big, toothy grin. "That's not for you to know. But what you should know is that I possess the means to make you stronger. If you come with me, I will make you strong enough to surpass Naruto and kill Itachi." "How?" Sasuke asked. Orochimaru then spoke. "I can give you a curse mark. If I give it to you, you will grow stronger exponentially. There is a 90% chance that you die. But if you survive, there will be improvement. And with the resources I can provide you, you will grow even stronger and faster. But make no mistake, it will be hard and oftentimes very painful." Sasuke glared at Orochimaru. "If you can make me strong enough to kill Itachi, then why would I say no?" Orochimaru laughed a bit. "Good answer. Allow me to begin the process." He would bite Sasuke's neck and give him the curse mark of heaven. Sasuke would cry out in agony, but as time passed, Orochimaru was adamant that Sasuke's body was going to accept the curse mark. He then administered some medicine and sealed Sasuke up to allow his curse mark to mature to its version 2 form. Orochimaru, followed by the remnants of the Sound 4, would make his way out of the village. It wasn't until the next day that Naruto realized that Sasuke was gone. He'd be told by Sakura and many others that Sasuke's whereabouts were unknown. Naruto began to wonder, is it possible that he still left the village? But where would he go? Kakashi would show up to speak with them. "I don't know how and I don't know why, but I found this in Sasuke's room." He held up a strange, translucent object. At first, Naruto had no clue what it was supposed to be, but then he realized it. It's a shed snakeskin. Naruto was shocked. Jiraiya had told Naruto that Orochimaru had been killed by Hiruzen. Was it possible that this was maybe Kabuto? Either way, Sasuke was still likely on his way to Otogakure, and they needed to stop him. So they formed up a team and began to chase after Sasuke. Naruto couldn't help but think about how little everything changed, despite him knowing and attempting to manipulate events. Frankly, it seemed as if time was actively attempting to avoid being changed. It was like throwing a stone into a river. It makes a splash, but it doesn't change the flow. Naruto and certain other members from the Rookie 9 would form a small team and would leave the village to search for Sasuke. As they rushed out looking for him, they would find a group of Otonin, and at their head was Orochimaru. "How are you alive?" Naruto demanded to know. Orochimaru simply raised his finger to his lips, as if to say, "It's a secret." "Give him back," Naruto demanded. Orochimaru shook his head. "No, I've already promised to make him as strong as possible." "Strong enough for himself, or strong enough for you?" Naruto demanded. "Is there any difference?" Orochimaru replied. Naruto rushed it in, but Jirobo got in the way to stop him and the others from following. Knowing that they were going to lose Sasuke, Choji decided to step up and face Jirobo himself, letting the others chase after Orochimaru. After this, Neji is forced to fight Kidomaru, and Shikamaru is forced to fight Toyuya, and Kiba and Akamaru are forced to fight Sakon and Ukon. At about this time, Gaara and his siblings appear to help everyone fight. Choji manages to kill Jirobo, though at the expense of his own health. Neji kills Kidomaru, and Shikamaru, with the help of Temari, beats Toyuya, with Kiba and Akamaru helped by Konkoro to defeat Sakon and Ukon. Meanwhile, Gaara himself chases after Naruto to help out. Sasuke eventually gets out of the jar and laughs at his newfound power, but that isn't enough. He wants more. He needs more. So he and Orochimaru both continue on. Naruto catches up with them at the Valley of the End. "Stop!" Naruto shouts. They turn around to see him standing there. Sasuke smiles. "Now would be a good time to see how much I've grown." Orochimaru looks to him for a second and then to Naruto. "If that is what you wish." Sasuke jumps down to the water below. He begins to approach Naruto, but as he does, another shows up. Gaara. Gaara stands there with Naruto. Naruto looks over at him. "You're here." Gaara looks over. "Yes, I am. I heard you were having issues with another of our friends, so I wish to offer my assistance." "What about everyone back there? What about Kiba and Akamaru? What about Choji, Neji, Shikamaru? Don't they need help?" Gaara shook his head. "Kiba, Akamaru, and Shikamaru have been rescued by my siblings, and the other two had gained victory by the time we showed up. The only one who needs help right now is you." Naruto nodded in acknowledgement. "We need to protect this guy," Naruto said as he pointed at Sasuke. "And that guy," pointing at Orochimaru, "we need to kill him." Gaara nodded his head. "Got it." Orochimaru began to grow a bit nervous. He knew how strong Naruto was. Gaara himself wasn't too far from it either. He began to wonder if the curse mark of heaven was going to give him the edge, so he too jumped down to the water. "What are you doing?" Sasuke demanded. Orochimaru looked at Naruto and Gaara, glaring his eyes at them. "I don't know if you can handle these two alone. You're strong, but this is how it's going to be." Sasuke sighed. "Fine, let's just get this over with then." He then dashed toward Naruto. "I got Naruto, you get the other one." Orochimaru began to smile. He then approached Gaara. As he did, Gaara had a sinking feeling in his gut, not too unlike sensing his old angry self drawing nearer. Gaara would stand resolute, however, and as Naruto and Sasuke began to fight, Orochimaru and Gaara began as well. Orochimaru formed multiple snakes from his hands to eat at the flesh of Gaara, but all that they tasted was sand. Gaara would respond by reforming his sand into pointed spikes and firing at Orochimaru. Orochimaru simply slipped below the surface of the water to be protected from the attack. From underneath, he would grab Gaara's foot and pull him under as well. As Gaara struggled, Orochimaru would begin striking him in the torso, attempting to push all air from his lungs in an attempt to drown him. However, Gaara filled his throat with sand so as to not allow any water to enter, no matter how badly he wanted to gasp. He managed to kick away from Orochimaru and make his way back up to the surface, where he would eject the sand from his throat and begin to take in deep, heavy breaths. Orochimaru would surface. "You're out of your element. A boy whose whole gimmick is sand, fighting on the water? You have no chance." Orochimaru would rush at Gaara, and Gaara's sand would protect him. But at this point, the gourd was so empty of sand that it was starting to turn the walls of the gourd back into sand to use for defense. Orochimaru realized this, and knew that he needed to make Gaara use up all of his sand. To do this, he knew he would need to use the weakness of sand against him, which was water, and to his delight, they were surrounded by it. He began to weave hand signs. "Water style, water wall." He then begins to take a deep breath and would release a large stream of water from his mouth that would cover his target in a massive wave, throwing Gaara underwater again and soaking the remainder of his sand. "And now that you have no more sand, you're helpless in battle," he said with a smile. Gaara would then reach into his pocket and show that he still had some sand. "Pocket sand jutsu," he shouted as he threw it into Orochimaru's eyes, causing the old snake to stumble back in pain. Gaara managed to pull back a ways as Orochimaru began to wash his eyes out with water. "You gormless cur! When I see you again, you're dead." Gaara stood there. "The one thing you don't understand is that I don't need my gourd to contain sand. I am the sands of the land of wind. Behold, Shukaku, the One-Tail." Slowly, he began to take on a partial transformation. Half of his body having switched to the Tanuki of the desert, Gaara once more engaged in combat with Orochimaru. Orochimaru was knocked back and sent flying by a massive backhanded strike from the massive claw of Shukaku that had overtaken half of the body of Gaara. Orochimaru attempted to get back to his feet, his reddened and bloodshot eyes open again. He opened his mouth, and from within a snake slithered out, presenting the blade of Kusanagi. Orochimaru took it for himself. As Gaara came in again, Orochimaru would swing the blade, but Gaara would catch it with his claw, rip it from the hands of Orochimaru, and toss it behind him. He would grab Orochimaru by the throat, and would press him against the statue of Madara Uchiha. "Thought you were so smart, so strong. Thought you could get away with betraying Suna like you did, but all you did was make an enemy that you couldn't shake. And now, I'm going to kill you for it." Gaara's other hand turned into a sand-constructed spike. As he went to stab Orochimaru with it, Gaara suddenly stopped. Looking down, he saw that Orochimaru had bid his blade back with his fingers, and that the blade was now impaling him through the back and out of the chest. Gaara would look up at Orochimaru and sneer as blood began to pour from his mouth. He would raise his spiked arm up again to finish the job, but the blade was pulled even deeper, and then even twisted. Gaara coughed up blood onto Orochimaru. Orochimaru kicked Gaara away as Gaara's strength began to fail him. Gaara stumbled back a few steps. Orochimaru raised his hand again and bid the sword once more. The blade began to wiggle, cut deeper, and eventually be pulled completely through. Orochimaru would take the crimson-stained blade and would hold it tight in his hand, not sure if Gaara could somehow recover from that. Gaara, standing there, looked as if he wished to attack again, but before he could, his eyes rolled up in his head and he fell back into the water, the sand slowly falling from his body. As blood mixed with water, Orochimaru cleaned off the blood from his sword and replaced it to where it had been before. He then looked up and saw that Naruto had Sasuke on the ropes. He would rush up the waterfall to get to where they were. Taking Naruto by surprise, he would drop a foot on the top of the boy's head, knocking him down into the water below. "What did you do that for?" Sasuke demanded. "Victory was mine." Orochimaru looked at Sasuke with a face of confusion. "Do you not sense the others on their way here now? We won't last here much longer. We need to get back to Otogakure or we're dead." Sasuke stopped and thought about it. He sensed many shinobi, jonin even, among which was Kakashi heading his way. He then agreed, "Let's leave." So the two of them began to escape. Naruto floated there in the water silently for a moment until he raised up and looked around to find Gaara. Naruto came to him and held him up in his arms. "Please, tell me you're okay," Naruto cried. By the look of the wound, he was certain Gaara was not, but Naruto needed to be certain. Searching for a pulse, he found nothing. Naruto's eyes began to well up with tears. This was not supposed to happen. It was at about this time that Kakashi appeared. He ran over and saw Naruto holding onto the body of Gaara. Kakashi walked over and knelt down. "Kakashi, I failed him. I got him killed." Kakashi shook his head. No, Gaara knew the risks. Naruto looked at Kakashi. "Orochimaru, I don't know how, but he's back." Kakashi thought about this. He then pushed it from his mind. "Naruto, are you okay?" He began checking Naruto's head and arms for fractures. He pulled away. "I'm fine, but it's everyone else who's in rough shape. We didn't even get Sasuke back. He didn't want to come back to the village. He wanted to go with Orochimaru." Kakashi stood. He helped pull Naruto up as well. "We'll take the body back with us to Konoha." "Wait, we're not gonna pursue Orochimaru and Sasuke?" Kakashi shook his head. "Naruto, it's raining. The trail will be almost non-existent. There'll be no way to track them." Naruto seemed to lose heart a little, but then he realized that he'd been through this before, and that he knew exactly where the two would eventually end up. He needed to speak with Jiraiya. As Kakashi and Naruto made their way back to Konoha with the body, they would deliver it to Temari and Kankuro. Temari would look at it as tears began to fill her eyes. The same was true for Kankuro. But as Kankuro continued to cry, Temari looked up at Naruto. "How could you let this happen?" Naruto looked down silently. "I'm sorry. It wasn't my intent. I couldn't handle Sasuke and Orochimaru, so Gaara chose to fight Orochimaru, and I fought Sasuke. At some point, Orochimaru must have gotten the better of him. I'm sorry." Bad blood seemingly began to form in the hearts of Temari and Kankuro over Naruto, and Naruto knew this much. The two of them took the body of Gaara back to Suna to bury him beside their parents. Jiraiya would pat Naruto on the back. Naruto would simply walk away. He would go to the park and sit down on a bench, and Jiraiya wasn't far behind. "Do we need to talk?" Jiraiya asked. Naruto nodded. "Things have just been going really wrong recently. Tsunade didn't become Hokage, and now this? Somehow Orochimaru has come back to life, and despite our best efforts to stop Sasuke from leaving, he did. And now Gaara's dead." Jiraiya nodded. "When one messes with time, a butterfly effect can occur, and those can be unpredictable. Have you considered telling the Hokage about what you're experiencing? Maybe he can help." Naruto shook his head. "I can't trust Danzo. He's the reason the Uchiha were massacred." Jiraiya was surprised. "Wait, what?" Naruto began to explain Itachi's situation. Jiraiya was left stunned. "I had no idea." Naruto then continued. "I don't know how much I should change, or if I should continue changing anything. I just keep messing everything up." Jiraiya sat there for a moment and thought. "You know, maybe you're just not changing enough." Naruto looked at him in surprise. "Weren't you the one who told me that I should be careful with what I change?" Jiraiya thought about this. "Yeah, but you've already changed so much, so why stop now? If you want to make this better, then maybe you need to change more. If time is favoring its original course with as few alterations as possible, then maybe you should just alter it as much as possible. A single pebble in the river doesn't do much more than make a splash, but enough pebbles added in and suddenly the river's starting to flow differently. So try telling me everything that's set to happen, and maybe we can change it for the better." Naruto nodded. "Okay, I do know that Sasuke and Orochimaru will eventually be at a secret base, not far from the Tenchi Bridge. I don't know when they get there, but they will be there in about 2.5 years. Beyond that, The Akatsuki will start taking tailed beasts because they wish to awaken the Ten Tails, and that means they'll target every Jinchuriki in the world at some point in time. They're currently based in Amagakure, and their leader is Pain, also known as your student, Nagato, the guy with the Rinnegan. But he's secretly being manipulated by Obito Uchiha, who is secretly being manipulated by Madara, who is secretly being manipulated by Black Zetsu, who is secretly manipulated by a celestial being known as Kaguya Otsutsuki, all with the single goal of awakening the Ten Tails and casting the infinite Tsukiyomi. Itachi's on our side and is likely offering information to Konoha on a regular basis, though he's sick and will soon invite Sasuke to kill him. Just listening to all this had Jiraiya seeing stars. His mind was overloaded by the sheer number of events. But the one that had knocked him off his kilter the most was that Nagato was the leader of the Akatsuki, and that he had somehow turned rotten. "Can we go back to Nagato for a second, please?" Jiraiya asked. "Tell me about that." Naruto looked at him with confusion and then realized that Jiraiya hadn't been told this yet. Nagato and his friends Yahiko and Konin were creating a sort of peacekeeping organization, a non-profit that worked to bring peace to the world. They called it the Akatsuki to symbolize daybreak from a sky overcast by the gloom of war. However, at some point, Hanzo of the Salamander, along with the urging of Danzo Shimura, attempted to have them assassinated, as he told Hanzo that they were going against his regime and planning to overthrow him. Hanzo would lure the Akatsuki into a trap and try to kill him there. He managed to get Yahiko killed, but in doing so awakened a beast inside of Nagato, who summoned the Geto statue, which proceeded to wipe out most opposing forces. He would end up crippled in the attack though, and proceeded to utilize the body of Yahiko as a figurehead by using the 6 Paths of Pain technique to remote control and take control of 6 dead bodies to do what his body no longer could. Obito then approached him with an idea, telling him about the Ten Tails, manipulating him into collecting the tailed beasts so that Pain would get a super weapon so powerful that when used once, would never have to be used again. He wanted to end war by making the most deadly war to ever exist. That's what he's trying to do now. He launched a war against Hanzo and killed him, taking Ame as his trophy, where he now rules it from the shadows. Jiraiya nodded as he thought about this. Naruto continued. Danzo's behind much of the horrible things that have happened. He's behind the Uchiha massacre, where he personally stopped the plan that would have dealt with everything peacefully. He got the Akatsuki agitated by attacking them first, and he was helping Orochimaru get research materials to test the cells of Hashirama Senju. This was around the time that Hiruzen found Orochimaru. Jiraiya was shocked by all of this. If Sasuke kills Itachi, then Obito will tell Sasuke the truth, and Sasuke will turn his vengeance on the village. If we let all of this play out, it will lead to a 4th Shinobi World War. But now that Gaara's dead, I'm not sure how things will play out, as he was supposed to be the Kazekage during the war. Jiraiya was listening intently. Then it sounds like we've got a lot to change. Where do we start? Naruto thought about it. I would say we need to get Danzo removed from office and replaced with another. Normally, Kakashi ends up Hokage after Tsunade, but since Tsunade was never the Hokage, he'll have to come after Danzo. Once we do that, we'll need to go after Orochimaru and Sasuke, and we'll need to bring Sasuke back with us to the village, and we'll need to inform him on what we found in regards to Danzo and be honest with him. We should use that truth bomb to try and pull Itachi back and hope that his goodwill is enough to keep Sasuke from flipping out on the village. Make him feel like he got justice. Then we need to go to Amagakure, stop Pain, and destroy the Rinnegan, and ensure it can't be used by Obito and Zetsu. That should throw a wrench in their plans. We also need to capture Kabuto to ensure that he doesn't teach Obito the Ito Tensei technique. We then need to lure Obito and Zetsu to us by helping Sasuke awaken his Rinnegan. We can do that by giving him blood transfusions from myself, as well as some cells from Hashirama Senju. All of that will make the perfect bait for Zetsu and Obito. When they come to the village, the first thing we must do is destroy Zetsu and be sure that he's destroyed. Then after that, it might be possible to talk Obito out of what he's doing and bring him back to the light. If we bring him back to the light, we might be able to end everything then and there. Jiraiya took a deep breath and let it out. You know, that's a lot of stuff to do, right? Like, I don't know for certain if we can even remember all that stuff, let alone do it. Naruto smiled. Don't worry, I'll cook up a mission folder so we remember. Plus, most of the events won't even really start until about 2 years from now, so we've got lots of time. Jiraiya sighed. You better be right, Naruto. Naruto smiled. I've already experienced this once before, so I know where things are going. Jiraiya patted him on the shoulder. How about we get a popsicle or something to calm our nerves? Naruto smiled. Sounds good. Jiraiya sat upon a rooftop in the distance, keeping an eye on Danzo with a set of binoculars. He knew that he had to help Naruto get the dirt on Danzo. They needed some sort of proof of his exploits, something that would sway public opinion enough to get Danzo removed from office. He needed an official file or something to get Danzo put behind bars, but how was he going to get it? Surely what happened to the Uchiha would be off the record, right? The only people who would have known about this were Danzo and Itachi, so how was he going to get this information? Jiraiya sat down and took cover. Danzo was moving toward the window, and he didn't want the old cadre to realize that he was being spied on. Jiraiya sat there and thought about it. Who else would have known? Would anyone have kept a record of the situation? Jiraiya doubted he could ask Itachi straight, and Danzo wasn't going to be talking about it to anyone anytime soon, so Jiraiya began to look around. He began to do a little research on the situation. As he looked through the timeline of events, he noticed something peculiar. Danzo was in contact with a side group within the Anbu known as Root, and what Jiraiya thought was odd was that on the day that the Uchiha were found dead, Danzo was spontaneously removed by Hiruzen from his place there, and the organization was officially shut down. Most people thought it was because of Danzo and Root's failure to find and stop this plan from occurring, but now Jiraiya knew what had actually happened. He began to wonder if this was retaliation for a bad deed. This would mean that besides Itachi and Danzo, Hiruzen also likely knew. It hurt Jiraiya a little to think that his master knew that all of this was going on and then did nothing about it, but now it was Jiraiya's time to make things right. And so Jiraiya went to Hiruzen's private home away from the office and entered it. It hadn't even been used since Hiruzen had died. It was musty and a bit chilly inside. He eventually headed upstairs to the personal office of Hiruzen, and there he found a desk covered in old papers and various different things. He began to feel like this was a dead end. That was until he found a little key inside of Hiruzen's desk. Jiraiya picked it up and looked at it. Well, hello there. What do you go to, I wonder? Jiraiya began to examine the room for a sign of anything that might take a key. As he looked around, though, he discovered that there was a secret opening in the side of a bookshelf. As he stuck the key in, he heard a click. He stepped back and watched as the bookshelf began moving to reveal a second shelf behind it. This time, it had uniform books in them all, with each book being one volume within a collection. Jiraiya picked one of them out and began to read. Today, I had to attend a meeting with the various other Kage. For the sake of national security, I can't write what we spoke of, only that it went really well and made me optimistic that a third Shinobi World War will not break out. Jiraiya looked at the book's cover. This is Hiruzen's personal journal collection. He put this volume down and began searching for one that included the date for the Uchiha massacre. Finding it, he began to read through it. I have no words to describe how I'm feeling right now, but considering that this is a journal where I record such things, I must find some way to express a semblance of what I'm feeling at present. I woke up early today to make one of the toughest domestic decisions I've ever made in my life, only to find that not only had someone already made it for me, but had chosen the worst possible outcome. There was meant to be a raid on the Uchiha compound this morning to deal with the insurgency with precision, mercy, and ample care. But instead of doing such, I found the entirety of the Uchiha clan was murdered. The one responsible for such a thing was Itachi, as I was told. He had killed every member of his own clan. But why? Why would Itachi do such a thing? He was so mild-mannered, kind, and filled with love for his people, his village, and for the world. He respected life, and I saw him as the perfect fit for Hokage one day. I knew immediately that something was amiss. This rang too close to something Danzo had told me earlier. He believed that not a single Uchiha should be left alive, else they would harbor animosity toward Konoha for what they had done, and would then seek to destroy the village as a whole as revenge. I refused that way of thinking, as it would have included not only the ones responsible for the coup, but innocent men, women, and children as well. And now that I've seen this, knowing it was Itachi, the Anbu member Danzo brought on personally, I just feel it lines up all too well. I don't know what he said to Itachi, but there's no doubt in my mind that Danzo is behind this. He's always been vying for the rank of Hokage. Always. Me stepping down after the Third Shinobi World War was orchestrated by him. He was the one that stirred the council against me. No doubt that he will never stop until he gets what he wants, and what he wants right now is the ranking of Hokage. Due to my suspicions, I have put Danzo under house arrest. Jiraiya was reading through this when he noticed that there was more at the bottom. Addition, Itachi visited me this afternoon to tell me that his mission was accomplished and that he was planning to leave the village and join a rogue shinobi group known as the Akatsuki. This all but confirms my suspicions. Danzo was the one who ordered Itachi to do this, and it is Danzo who made it happen. Many innocent men, women, and children are now dead because he coerced one of the most elite shinobi in Konoha to do something wrong under duress. If only I could do something about this publicly, but I can't because doing so would expose this massive scandal and further would put Itachi at risk. I simply can't do anything about it right now except what I've already done. That is, strip Danzo of all of his powers and put him under house arrest until I can figure out what to do with him. Jiraiya closed the journal and then hid the rest of the volumes, taking the key with him.
I gotta show Naruto.
He would rush off to Naruto's apartment with the journal and would show him. Naruto would look over the pages that he was instructed to and would nod his head.
That is indeed an issue. If we bring Danzo down first, it could put Itachi at risk. Then what do you suppose we do, Naruto?
Jiraiya asked.
Naruto thought about it. We keep the book hidden, but well within reach. We'll then find Sasuke, free him, show him what Hiruzen wrote, and help him get back Itachi and bring Danzo down. We'll then find Pain, defeat him, destroy the Rinnegan, and lure Black Zetsu and Obito back to Konoha. How do we find Sasuke though? Jiraiya asked.
Naruto smiled.
In just a few years, Sasuke and Orochimaru will be in a base I know the location of. We need to get together our best group of warriors to go face them. That means you, me, Sakura, Kakashi, Rock.
Naruto then remembered Rock Lee. Because Tsunade had never come to the village, he hadn't been able to get better, and this had led to the end of Lee's career as a shinobi. Naruto took a deep breath and then let it out.
Scratch Lee. We'll add Might Guy, Tenten, and Neji. That should be enough to kill or capture Orochimaru and Kabuto, and it should be more than enough to protect me as I drag Sasuke home.
Jiraiya nodded his head.
I understand.
And so, all they could really do was wait. They dug up more dirt on Danzo, and Naruto revealed to Jiraiya that Danzo's arm and eye was covered in bandages because they contained the Sharingan that he had stolen from the Uchiha. Jiraiya believed that this would be plenty enough to prove that Danzo had done wrong and should be imprisoned, but the time for that was not now. Eventually, 2.5 years passed, and as it did, Shukaku the One-Tail would eventually reconstitute and roam free for a time, until he was mysteriously captured by a group of shinobi outside of Suna. Naruto could only guess that this was the doing of the Akatsuki, but given that it didn't really involve them much, Naruto felt that it was best just to focus on Sasuke. So, now that the proper time had come, Naruto and the others he had desired to bring with him were jumping with him through the trees. Kakashi was quite quiet. Truth is, Naruto had to tell Kakashi about Obito. He told him how Obito survived and is the masked Akatsuki member.
He can teleport and become intangible, Naruto told Kakashi. It's something that can really only be countered by your Kamui, so if he shows up, remember what you need to do.
Kakashi had accepted this mission and was willing to do so, but a part of him was still in shock to know that Obito was still alive. Naruto had assumed that much, but Naruto knew that he could count on Kakashi. As they passed through the forest, they kept their eyes peeled. They skipped right over the Tenchi Bridge and headed straight to the base. Thankfully, they got there just as Orochimaru and Kabuto had left. This had meant that they had time to deal with Sasuke. Naruto led the others in and headed straight for the room where he knew Sasuke would be. Barging in, they found him, and Sasuke looked like he was getting ready to fight them, pulling his blade of Kusanagi out. Naruto held up his hands.
Sasuke, we mean you no harm. We didn't come to hurt you.
How did you find me? Sasuke asked. Naruto thought for a second.
I have certain insider information, but that's not the point. I came to talk to you because we discovered something that I know you'll want to see.
Intrigued yet still cautious, Sasuke spoke. Proceed. Naruto presented Hiruzen's journal to Sasuke. Sasuke read the tagged pages, and as he did, they could see his face twisting in confusion and anger.
What is this? He demanded to know.
That, Naruto began to say,
is what we discovered in Hiruzen's home. Itachi never wanted to kill the Uchiha. It wasn't a personal grudge against his family, it was an order from a powerful man who said that he would take away something precious from him if he didn't fulfill it.
Sasuke looked up.
So I've been training for nothing? I've been spending the entirety of my life hating Itachi for nothing.
Naruto nodded.
We found the evidence about 2.5 years ago, but we didn't say anything yet because we believed this would put Itachi in danger.
Sasuke looked at it. I gotta kill Danzo.
Jiraiya shook his head. You don't want to act rashly. If you do that, you'll never be welcome back into Konoha again. Not to mention that this won't help Itachi any. If we do this right, you'll get justice and Itachi will be able to come home.
Sasuke stood there. Do you think I'll just stand here and do nothing as the man who destroyed my clan runs my village? I am going to slaughter him just as he slaughtered my clan. Sasuke donned wings and prepared to fly off. Naruto rushed at Sasuke with his Sage Mode activated and tackled him.
Stop, Sasuke! I know how strong Danzo is and I know what he can do. You're not in any position to kill him. I know what he has. I know what he can do and I know what you can do. Trust me, he will kill you. With all of the Sharingan he possesses embedded in his arm, along with the use of Izanagi, he has multiple extra lives.
How do you know all these things? Sasuke demanded to know. Naruto decided it was best to come clean.
Because I've experienced this all before, and I'm getting a chance to redo it.
Naruto began to explain it all to Sasuke, as well as telling him certain pieces of information that he could not tell him unless what he was saying was true. Sasuke listened and then sighed. Fine, what do we do now? Naruto smiled.
We need to neutralize Orochimaru and Kabuto. The defeat of those two is paramount. They possess dangerous jutsu that will eventually lead to a whole world war. Sasuke nodded. They should be back after they make short work of Sasori. Can they defeat Sasori? Naruto asked. He thought back. Well, Orochimaru did go toe-to-toe with my version 2 cloak once, and I don't think Sasori has the strength to go through that. So Orochimaru should win. They decided to wait for Orochimaru. Eventually he came back, a little worse for wear, as did Kabuto, but it was obvious by the looks on their faces that they had defeated Sasori. And so, with Orochimaru and Kabuto well within range, Might Guy decided not to pull any punches and opened the 7th Gate of Wonder right out the gate. He rushed in and knocked Orochimaru across the room. He would swing his leg around and kick Kabuto into the nearby wall. Kabuto would roll and hit the wall. Kakashi would utilize his Mangekyo Sharingan to put Kabuto under a Genjutsu to keep him down. Just to ensure that he stayed down, Neji would proceed to tap multiple Tenketsu to block off his ability to utilize his own manual motor functions. Orochimaru got up and Naruto came in with Sage Mode and a Rasengan. He pushed the Rasengan into the chest of Orochimaru, sending him flying off to the side right into a nearby wall. As Orochimaru sat there trying to get up, he smiled. "You're all very wise to attack me while I'm at my weakest. Unfortunately for you, Suddenly, Sasuke came in using his 2nd stage curse seal and decapitated Orochimaru before he could say anything more. He was about to call his Sound 4. If he had, we would have been outnumbered. Sasuke looked back. Trust me, kill the Sound 4. They're fiercely loyal to Orochimaru, to the point that they'll even sacrifice their lives to bring him back. I don't know if we need to kill them, Naruto said. Suddenly, Sasuke disappeared. As they sought for him, they came to the realization that he was killing each member of the Sound 4 personally. It was horrid, but Sasuke said it was important. As for so long as these 4 existed, Orochimaru would always be able to come back. With that finished, they began to make their way back to Konoha with Sasuke in tow. It put a bad taste in Sasuke's mouth to be there again, especially now that he knew that the leader of Konoha was the one behind the massacre that killed his people. Sasuke would silently stay. All the while, they began trying to find a way to communicate with Itachi and to send him a message. This was a lot easier said than done because Itachi didn't want to be found, but Naruto assumed that he wouldn't have to do much searching. As soon as word got around that Sasuke had killed Orochimaru, no doubt Itachi would send a message seeking to face Sasuke in battle. So basically, they waited, and they waited, and they waited, and they waited some more. But eventually, a message came in via Crow to Sasuke's location, dictating the place of the final battle. It was no surprise to Naruto that Itachi would choose the Uchiha hideout for their final battle. And so Team 7 made their way out to the Uchiha hideout with Sasuke and Might Guy. Of course, Kisame was there, but Might Guy was searching for a rematch, and so Kisame and Might Guy began to duke it out as Naruto followed Sasuke in to meet Itachi. As they entered the building, Itachi noticed that Naruto was there and was surprised. "What is it, Sasuke? Not man enough to face me alone?" Sasuke grit his teeth a little, took a deep breath, and let it out. "I would be man enough, but I'm not gonna face you because I don't hate you." Itachi's eyes narrowed. Sasuke continued. "You see, I stumbled across something from Hiruzen." He threw the journal to Itachi, who opened it up and read it. Itachi was surprised when he got to the part that had been tagged by Naruto. Itachi looked up. Sasuke then spoke. "I'm not going to kill you, but we are going to leak this information and get Danzo removed from office." Itachi heard this. He looked back down at the book and set it ablaze with the Matarasu and tossed it to the side. "No!" Naruto cried out. "Why would you do that?" Itachi stood. "For the same reason I acquiesced to the mission I was given to. A new world war would be on the horizon if Konoha was shown to be weak. We barely survived the loss of Hiruzen, and it was only because he was replaced by Danzo, and only because the village stood in unity. If you do this, the entire village will be shaken. It could come apart at the seams, and it would become a perfect opportunity for another shinobi village to strike." "I can't let him get away with this," Sasuke shouted. Itachi stood there. "Then don't. Kill Danzo if you must, but don't reveal his part in the Uchiha massacre. Think about what's best for Konoha." Sasuke stood there. Itachi spoke. "Kill me, Sasuke." Sasuke stood there with a confused look on his face. "What?" "Kill me." Sasuke shook his head. "No, I won't." Itachi let out a sigh. "If you try to bring me back, you'll have to reveal that Konoha killed the Uchiha." Sasuke stood there, his mouth agape. Itachi." Itachi smiled. "I killed so many people, Sasuke. They all died because of me, and I did so to protect the village and to protect the world. I had to do this. That's what it means to be a shinobi. You make sacrifices for your village. The question remains, what will you sacrifice for your village, Sasuke?" Itachi looked to Naruto. "You're a good friend to Sasuke, Naruto. I feel like I can trust you to take care of him in my stead. Please, take this with you, and use it to protect my brother." Itachi would then bequeath to Naruto a crow with a Sharingan. Suddenly, Sasuke set himself alight with a Matarasu. Sasuke cried out for his brother, only to be grabbed by Naruto. No, Sasuke, those flames once lit don't go out. If you touch them, you'll die. Itachi, he cried out. Itachi let out a smile. Sasuke, I will always love you. And with that, Itachi burned to ash. Sasuke, in that moment, awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan, and as he sat there, he thought about what Itachi had said. After this, they began to make their way back to the village, Kisame having been defeated by Might Guy. Once there, Naruto walked Sasuke back to his home. He spoke. If you try to kill Danzo, I won't stop you. Sasuke walked to his door and stopped. He looked up at the stairs before looking back. I'm not going to kill Danzo. Naruto was confused. You're not? Sasuke shook his head. No, I want to kill him, but I won't. If Itachi is right, and Danzo needs to remain for the sake of the village, then I'll just have to grin and bear it. I shouldn't weaken Konoha for my own benefit. Naruto stood there silently. Sasuke then spoke. Just stop this world war you say is coming. He disappeared into the house. After this, Naruto began to think. It seemed no matter how much he tried, the flow of time seemed to resist him. It would stop him from changing it and kept on its course, if not doing so worse. As it stood, Sasuke was back in the village, and that was good, but Itachi still died, and their chance of removing Danzo from office was also gone. The next thing they needed to do was go to Amagakure and defeat Pain. And to do that, they would need as much power as they could get. Naruto thought about it and felt that it would be best to push forward the timetable on Sasuke and start beginning the work of getting him the Rinnegan. So they gave him blood transfusions between he and Naruto, as well as chakra infusions, in hopes that doing so might awaken the Rinnegan. It took quite a few weeks, but with the constant influx of Naruto's chakra, his and Sasuke's finally mixed and produced Six Paths chakra. With Six Paths chakra produced, Sasuke's eyes eventually developed into Rinnegan, the same as Madara's once had. And since that had happened, Sasuke's strength had increased quite a bit. And so, using Sasuke as their secret weapon, they would reveal to Danzo that before Itachi died, he revealed that the Akatsuki's main base was in Amegakure. They would ask Danzo to allow them to go to Ame to stop him, and Danzo would agree. And so Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura, Kakashi, Might Guy, Tenten, and Neji would head to Ame with a group of shinobi to fight against Pain and kill him. They would attempt to sneak through, but as it was raining, they knew that they wouldn't keep the element of surprise. After all, Pain was a sensory type, and he could use the rain to keep tabs on everyone in the village. So as soon as they entered the village, they headed straight for Pain's tower. They would break in and make their way up as fast as they could. Once they got there, they were faced with these 6 paths. Each of the ones there began to target one of the 5 paths, as Naruto and Sasuke faced the 6th, the most powerful of all, the Diva path. Sasuke, with his own Rinnegan, began to face off against Diva. He would utilize Shinra Tensei to push Diva back into the wall. As Pain would hit the floor, he would huff and puff and sit there for a moment. Those eyes. How did you get them? Sasuke stood there. Wouldn't you like to know? Diva stood. I have had mine for all of my life. Unless you can say the same, I would say I have the advantage. Sasuke then scoffed. I'd say that you're wrong. Sasuke would then use Bansho Tenin to pull Diva closer before utilizing the Chidori to pierce clean through. They put the other paths to rest easily. Naruto would then track down the true body of Nagato. Once they got in, Sasuke knew what he had to do. He had to kill Pain and destroy the Rinnegan. So Sasuke would switch back to his Mangekyo Sharingan and utilize his Amaterasu to set Nagato aflame, doing the same to Konin. And with that, Pain was defeated. Now, without the Rinnegan, Obito and Zetsu could do nothing. Slowly, they were losing all of their power, and they knew it too. Naruto knew that the next part of their plan was certain. They would hole up in Konoha. To make matters worse for the Akatsuki, they would use Sasuke's Rinnegan to steal the Geto statue. That would definitely have been enough to tell the Akatsuki everything. But something that they weren't expecting was for a threat to appear from within the village itself. Danzo had heard of Sasuke's Rinnegan and was planning to take it. He did not believe that Sasuke could be trusted, no less that he should have perhaps the most reputed dojutsu of them all. Danzo would wait for Sasuke's back to be turned before he would rip out one of his Rinnegan straight from his head. Danzo would then put the Rinnegan into his own head for use. Sasuke was at his limit, but he didn't wish to fight back because he knew what Itachi had said. Despite that, Naruto wasn't just gonna let this pass. He began to fight against Danzo. He would manage to wound the man, but Danzo would utilize Izanagi to undo the damage. Naruto was shocked, but as he came up with his next plan, he remembered something. He would activate his version 1 cloak and would begin to rush at Danzo, where he would put his claw through the old man's chest. The old man would then use Izanagi to undo the damage. He would then knock Naruto back. Naruto would roll across the ground. He would rise to his knee and speak. It's not over yet. He would then rush at Danzo with the same attack. Despite this, Danzo was taken by surprise. After all, he didn't expect Naruto would be so stupid as to try the same thing twice. So he decided to punish him the same way. After Izanagi took effect, he knocked Naruto back. Naruto sat there for a moment before speaking. "It's not over yet." Danzo scoffed at him. "You are an idiot, Naruto. Trying the same attack twice. I had thought better of the son of Minato Namikaze." It was then that Naruto rose to his feet and tried the same attack a third time. Danzo repeated his punishment, but it was then that Danzo realized he hadn't done so on purpose. Wait, what? In reality, Naruto was standing there looking on at Danzo as the elderly man stood there seemingly asleep. He was in a genjutsu, the Izanagi. Naruto would walk up and take the Rinnegan back from Danzo and return it to Sasuke. Sasuke thanked Naruto. Sakura would then put it back in Sasuke's head and use her healing jutsu to make it possible for him to see again. From there, they waited for Zetsu and Obito to appear to take Sasuke's Rinnegan. Naruto knew that Obito and Zetsu would not be so stupid as to use a full-out attack, so they waited for the two to sneak in. Naruto had already told Kakashi what he would need to do. Chances were the two would come when Sasuke wasn't ready to fight, which likely meant when he was asleep. And to their surprise, that's exactly what Obito did. As he appeared in Sasuke's bedroom, Naruto burst out of the closet and fired a Rasen Shuriken at Obito. Of course, Obito would utilize his Kamui to turn intangible, but Kakashi would utilize his Kamui on the Rasen Shuriken. The spinning blade passed into Obito and exploded, ripping him to shreds and knocking him out of the building through the wall. Sasuke woke up from all the noise and looked out at the shredded man lying on the ground. Naruto looked down at the fellow before them and let out a sigh of regret. He then looked to Sasuke. "He's partially made up of Hashirama Senju's cells. If you don't destroy him now, he will regenerate." Sasuke nodded and utilized Amaterasu. At about this time, Zetsu was attempting to escape, but he would have his head caught by Kakashi's Kamui, and would have his head ripped clean off. Of course, Naruto wasn't sure if that would kill Zetsu at all, so they had to subject both his remaining body as well as his head to Amaterasu. Doing so managed to destroy both of them at the same time. With that done, they believed that there was no longer a threat to the village. The Akatsuki were breaking apart, their leadership shattered. Day by day, more of their group was being taken out, and eventually, once Danzo had come to and abdicated his place as Hokage, Kakashi would replace him for a while until he believed Naruto was ready. Naruto would eventually become the 7th Hokage as he had before, and despite everything, Naruto managed to stop the 4th Shinobi World War from happening in the first place. But this wasn't much of a consolation to him. Even Naruto understood by now that none of this was real. The war had happened, and his friends, a lot of them, had fought and died during it. He was asleep right now, in the world of the Daikokuten. But as he laid there for a moment, he felt something pull him back. Suddenly, he felt the wind. He heard the whistling of a breeze as it passed over his head. As he opened his eyes, he saw a light and heard a voice. "Dad! Dad! Mom!" And there, standing above him, was Boruto. Naruto's eyes widened as he saw how tall he was. "Boruto!" Boruto smiled as he heard his voice. His eyes began to overrun with tears. "Welcome back, Dad. A lot of stuff has happened." And that's where I'm gonna end the video. I hope you liked this series. Naruto getting to know what all happened certainly seems like it would help things along, doesn't it? But the issue with that is that there is a butterfly effect. Naruto may know how everything would go originally, but even changing one bit of it could cause the rest of the future to become something totally different. When it boils down to it, you simply don't know what will change if you try to change the past. And you never know what a simple change in actions might do to the future. But anyway, what did you all think about the video? Did you enjoy it? If so, let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos as they drop. Until next time, peace out.